I believe we are now live.
Okay. Good morning. This is the first utility session of the day, KURTS and DocuSign demos. We have two presenters today that are going to go through this information for us. Ms. Jennifer McCleve. She's a transportation engineer branch manager for the Utilities and Rail branch in the Division of Right-of-Way and Utilities. Mrs. McCleve has worked in utilities her entire career with about 16 years of KYTC experience. She's proud to be on the original team who developed the Kentucky Utility and Rail Tracking System and is the chair of the AASHTO Subcommittee of Utilities. We also have Cherie Peterman. She is in KYTC Central Office. She's the Resource Management Analyst. Mrs. Peterman manages many utility and rail matters, including administering the Kentucky Utility and Rail Tracking System. She is branch subject matter experts on KURTS and DocuSign.
Hey guys.
Good morning.
Scant crowd. I need to do some housekeeping stuff for the room. We are going to be starting the sessions on time and ending them on time. I'm going to charge you guys with telling me if we're running over, since I'm the moderator for the room and up here. Make sure you sign in at the registration desk, let you receive training credits, download the conference app from the App Store for a detailed agenda. When you're in the app, you'll search for Crowd Compass Events app. That's the one that you're looking for. In the Crowd Compass Events app, search for 2021 ACEC KYTC Partnering Conference, because that's where you're at. The password for the app is Partnering 2021. For assistance with the conference app, please go to the conference registration desk. Preferred method for session evaluations is with the conference app. So please go ahead and get that app on your phone. Your name will be downloaded from the app for each evaluation you submit for sessions that you attend. And you'll be entered into a collection of other individuals for each session that you evaluate, or a raffle prize drawing.
What's the name of the app again?
The app is Crowd Compass Events. Crowd Compass Events. The password is Partnering 2021. No caps. No special characters. No caps. Partnering 2021. When you go into the app, you'll find the 2021 Partnering Conference on there. Click on that. You'll be able to set up all of your schedule for the events during the conference, and you'll be able to make those evaluations to get entered into the drawing for the grand prize. Participants will be allowed to win only one raffle prize. If your name is called again, you may claim the second prize, but you must return your first. So no prize hoarding. Your first prize will then be re-raffled if you want to upsize your prize. Wednesday's lunch will be from 11:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. till 1. Grand ballrooms A and B. Based on the folks in the room, I think you will know what it is. We've been here before. Got the t-shirt. Wednesday night's reception will be from 4:45 till 7 p.m. Grand ballrooms A and B, also known as Party Central, right? The reception will include the vendor hall, prize raffle, snacks, and a cash bar. The green drink ticket located beside the badge will be honored at Wednesday night's reception. Nikki's already introduced myself and Ms. Cherie Peterman. This session we wanted to do because we wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to ask questions about KURTS and DocuSign. DocuSign's kind of new to us this last year, the last year and a half. Gosh, this pandemic's gone on for a bit, hasn't it? I can't wait till the days when this room's filled up again. Those of you that are on logged in, miss you, wish y'all were here. We'll get back to it. Hopefully next year, we'll get back to a full vote, but those of you that are in attendance, I really do appreciate you being here today. So we wanted to give everyone the opportunity to ask questions about KURTS, about DocuSign. KURTS has been around for quite some time now. And I will see if I can check a chat. If we've got any questions on the line. But any obvious questions about KURTS? I know we've been using it for several years now. And it's got lots and pieces and parts. It tries its best to embody the process of utility coordination in Kentucky and lead us through it. Any questions about KURTS? Any issues that you all are having with it?
I have a couple of questions. I know there were some updates that were going out, so I don't know if we've been utilizing those updates or what those are. The last kind of we have gone through was I'll say the GIS app for all of the utility inspection. So from that, and then I know some of the agreements have been updated, agreement templates, but what other updates have been?
Good question. We've had some updates to KURTS. We've been managing the agreements templates for quite some time now. As a system administrator, I'm a system administrator for KURTS, and Cherie is also a system administrator. Will you want to drive the car?
I'll try.
So as system administrators, we manage a lot of the templates in the system. You'll see that there's maintained state letter templates and document templates. Those are the memos and letters that you see in KURTS. They're housed in there, and Cherie and I can update those and modify the language in those frequently do, as a matter of fact, particularly the agreement language. So when you have a modification that you want to make to, let's say, the state letter, we'll simply go to this format after we've vetted the recommendation. Oh, you gotta log in again.
You know, if you stop asking those attorneys questions, you wouldn't have to modify those agreements so much. You know that, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, the pesky thing is the lawyers like to be in charge of the agreements, and I respect that. I like to pretend I'm a lawyer sometimes, but I'm really not.
You know the difference between an engineer and a lawyer, don't you?
But
A lawyer knows we're not an engineer.
been there. Technology. There we go.
What I was clicking on was the letters that are in here that we can modify if need be. That's how we go to them, choose the one we're looking for, and same with the agreements.
We always pull the documentation from KURTS, but is there any notification that goes to say, hey, this template changed or this template?
No. We're relying on our users to go to KURTS for the source data.
And that's why we try to encourage and let everybody know that when you generate an agreement, this is where you need to generate it from. Now, when you pull that template up and generate it, it doesn't automatically stick in KURTS until you upload it. So you can then add your information that's missing or tweak anything that you need tweaked on it before you upload it. But these have the current and updated templates with all the required legal language. We do have people that tell me, oh, well, this needs an indentation, or this font isn't correct. And I try to go in there because that's the least of my worries at that point, at making sure the legal language is in there and it's populated correctly is what I keep my focus on. So the other updates that we've had are with the GIS. GIS itself had an update. So we had to go in and make sure that the GIS in KURTS was working properly. So when we go to a project, maybe, it may not be. When you click on that item number, it should take you to the GIS map. So after they did that update, we had to go in and make sure that it was pulling correctly. And since this is still in planning, that it's not going localized to the exact location.
So where's the data coming from that you put in the GIS?
That comes from where?
Is that from Old Homes Group? The Kentucky GIS.
Yeah,
Division.
yeah. So this pulls it from the actual GIS.
That's roads, but what about utilities? Is it your expectation that utility coordinators walk the project and map utilities and for the projects?
Not
Existing,
in,
proposed?
not in KURTS. We rely on the highway design, the development team to locate the utilities on behalf of the project. We aren't retaining that in KURTS. That's retained in the project data.
And a lot of it existing is on Kentucky GeoNet, which I think they get from the planning commissions across the state, and some of the utility companies provide info. Some aren't in that.
There's water gas data that's available through GeoNet. There's other sources for transmission utility location data in Kentucky. Some regional in nature that's mapping quality. It's here and there. We're working on trying to find a mechanism that will be outside of KURTS to collect it and share that information, disseminate it to our design partners. But that's a little bit down the road.
But
Right
as of
now, we've
now,
got-
it's not your expectation that utility coordination maps utilities. No.
No.
But you are asking for construction inspection to map relocated utilities.
We're looking to collect that data with our field data collection app. So yes, in a very rudimentary sense, we're collecting single points in space when we're doing an inspection.
You go into a project that you have information for that. You're basically just wanting a utility coordinator to be out on site if we're relocating the water line to use a GPS app to say, this is where the water line is. I've been there, I took some pictures, that type of stuff, right?
Here's my daily.
Not to, this is a meter, this is a valve, this is this,
No,
nothing to that detail. You're just logging in. I've been there, looked at it,
it's here.
it's here. It's on the left side. Where it's supposed to be.
I'll get something that's been led or very close to letting.
And then what tool do you have?
For the field collection?
Yeah, does iPhones work or you have to have
Yes,
special?
it's GIS collector and you can download it onto your phone and collect that way. I do want to see that data collection point at the point of construction. So at the trench, at the overhead pole. so that we've got as close a proximity as we can. But, I didn't say proximity. This field collection on a phone has gotten a lot more progressive, a lot more advanced over the years, but we're still, as Kevin pointed out, this side of the road. So if you could go to construction. What we're talking about, folks, is the field collection expand map. This isn't Cherie's normal bailiwick. She's not in the field data collecting. She's managing just about everything else. So on the inspections, hit add inspection. This is the project that Cherie selected. And we can do field data collection in office after we've been out in the field, or we can do it in the field with the GIS collector app. This is how you would collect it in office. You would zoom in on the map, which you don't have to do that right now, but select a point on the map. You'll see that we've got a point in space now. We've got a lat long. We could post the date of inspection. Put that field right there. You can document work started. You can document, and it's actually a required field to document if the work's been observed as actively working or inactive. You'll notice that we've got the red asterisks indicating where you have required data entry points. This should marry up with that field collection app. So we've got some various items that you can collect while out in the field. Percent complete. Really like that percent complete. That helps validate invoicing. So if you're doing a field data collection for a project and you can estimate it as 45% complete, if I've got a 90% invoice at the office, I can use your data to say, we were out there yesterday, you're 45% complete, not 90. So it does help validate invoicing when you do put that percent complete. If the work's been suspended, whether dates of resuming work, date work completed, also really good item to have, date work completed. You can actually document what work was observed in terms of products installed on the job site. These fields are actually taking data from our master line item database that KURTS is housing, rough high level line items. So if you click onto that field that says product and type the letter P, it should show up some materials.
It was impressive there.
That's one of the things we're working on is speed.
Yes, and that's one thing you do need to mention.
Yeah.
So you'll see that I've got a bunch of line items for poles for electric. So odds are this is an electric contract that's under relocation. If it were a water contract that we're doing inspection for, this would filter out for water line items only. So when you're collecting this information, you should be getting items that you can collect in terms of what was installed. And if you continue down on the form, you'll see you can document what type of crew they had on the job site, and further down, equipment that they had on the job site, materials removed. So if we've got materials that we want to document that were removed, use the same product line items to document quantities that were removed.
And what's the cabinet's expectation on frequency of these visits?
Frequency of visits. In terms of consultant-led utility coordination, is at the discretion of the project team, the KYTC project team. And when they set up that contract, they should establish a frequency.
Okay.
I would recommend at least once a week to visit the sites and collect the data point and document status of construction. but I do defer that to the owners of the projects. It's not my call. We can also log photos, imagery. We can upload estimates, handwritten notes to each inspection. So these inspections are actually being tied to the contract, to the relocation work that was scoped out and agreed to. And it's also tied to a point in space. So if you can imagine, we're building a bit of a network of data that will be retained with this point in space, with this electric relocation work that will feed our data set in the long term. So not only will we have a point in space that says we did pole relocations at this point and had 2 crews on site on this date and they were 45% complete. This is also tied potentially to the as-bills if they're uploaded into KURTS. So it's also tied to that point in space. It's also tied to what utility company owns it. It's also tied to relocation costs. Lots of data that's being intermeshed together by simply collecting these field inspections and documenting what was done. It's pretty handy, and then you can also take that, we actually prefer that we take the field app because you're going to get a much better point than being in the office and documenting this stuff. Once you've got that point in the GIS collector app, you'll upload it to KURTS. Pretty simple process as I understand. I am not the expert on that, so don't rely on me to show you how to upload data to KURTS. But we can do training in order to make sure that happens properly. Once it's uploaded to KURTS, it should feed directly to your project that you're inspecting for, directly to that agreement, directly to that utility company's work. It should show up in KURTS in this environment, and you can actually edit when you're in the office. So if you want to add more information about your observations, you can do so once you've actually come into the office, and you can pull the inspection right back up.
Or I guess an assumption I'm making, the material tickets for the material that comes in, that still all flows through the construction engineer, construction office, and outside of KURTS.
If the utility work's being done by the road contract, yes. And if the utility company is net reimbursing us for what we consider a betterment, say they're improving their facility or only a portion of their relocation works reimbursable, and they've opted to go into our road contract and have our contractor or a sub thereof build that facility for them. If they net owe us on the back end, we'll go to site manager, the data source for construction, and collect that utility data. One thing that D6 did for KYTC that was remarkable is build the bid items list. We have standardized bid items in Kentucky now for utility relocation work. So when we put a utility relocation into a road contract, we have the capacity now with standardized line items to pull those readily out of our contract and as built quantities. So it's much easier today than it was historically to pull that data out and invoice a utility company or audit utility relocation work that's done within the bounds of a road contract. And Nikki, I think you were involved in that, weren't you?
I helped push
Yeah.
it through. Yeah, Tony and Joe were the mindset, and they worked with utilities across the state. And then we got all the divisions involved and got their review, but it's over 800 items. I'd say the ones that, as we move forward and get to do more work, electric communications, maybe are a bit lacking, but they typically don't let the road contractor do that work. So
It's instrumental to have that standardized data out there available to us when we're putting road contracts together. Very useful. And D6, if you're on the line, I don't know if you are, big shout out. Appreciate that. It was good work. Any other KURTS questions? Cherie, can you do me a favor? You have your Zoom open? Let's check and see if we've got any questions. So KURTS appears to be working pretty well for everybody. That's good news.
I would say I'm sure you guys do too. We rely on the contacts in this system often to get out, reach out to the companies, and it seems like all the districts keep that up to date, and that's been very helpful from the consultant side of things.
The contact list in KURTS is owned and maintained by the district office staff.
We have a question. Does the system connect to KIA WRIS portal for water and sewer locations?
Kentucky Infrastructure Authority. I don't know if we can't connect with the KIA data, but I will ask. And if we don't, we should. Who asked that question? Thank you.
Stephanie Blind.
Stephanie, thank you for asking that excellent question. And I will check. We do have water sewer data. Where that originates, I'm not 100%. Other questions? So this is the KURTS context database. And it's pretty readily sortable. It's a little bit clunky. I don't love it, but it's pretty handy to have. We can pull a list of companies that operate in an individual district, and we can drill down to individual counties. And we can view the individual companies, where they operate, contact information as well, what facility types they possess.
I had a question previously in the email of who maintains the contact list, which we kind of all do, the districts, their coordinators, Jennifer and myself. But these companies don't let us know who's retired or who's quit or so forth, and so-and-so's taking so-and-so's place, then we have no way of knowing that needs to be updated. So we rely on each other for this information so that we can keep this up to date.
Who's allowing Kevin to have access to KURTS? I work in District 12 in design, right with both groups. I didn't do it and they want it. And that's what I have to go to for this kind of information. And that's access to KURTS. Utilities only.
Let me show you all. It is not.
That's helpful making plans.
Am I the only one that can't see anything on that screen?
It's hard from back here. I don't know.
I can make out the big letters and that's it. Maybe it's just me.
Let's see what I can do. Where am I at?
It's just gonna make it worse.
Better?
I can read it now.
Yay. All right, so the question we've received is who can access KURTS? Is it just utility companies? And the answer to the question is we have a lot of different user roles in the system. What I'm showing you is a system administrator function in the background that you all don't get to see unless we're here in this room presenting and answering questions. So you can see that Cherie and I have access to make users active, inactive. The system is email based. So once you're in the system under an email address, you're locked in. It's not editable. But I can't edit your name. If you want to change your name, I'm good. I can change that for you. People are assigned roles based on districts in the system. District 0, I believe, is all, but out of paranoia, I select all of the fields anyway. KURTS administrator role are the individuals that have the access to edit the system itself and go into the type tables in the background and add and delete and change templates in the system. We also have the rights to add users or remove users from the system. KYTC area coordinators are the individuals in our district and our central office, who are assigned regions to support the district offices. KYTC consultants, this role is a little bit different as it's a project assignment role. So you see the districts went away and now we're set up to assign projects to the individual. It's got some consultants in the room. What you ought to make sure you know that if you have 5 individuals within your organization that are signed up as KURTS users, and you tell me to assign one person with, you say assign me with this project, I will assign you that project and the other 4 people won't get it. It's not global based on company. So if I need multiple people assigned to a project, you need to let me know. Otherwise, they won't see that project. And if you wouldn't mind, let me know the names because the contact list for KURTS is very lengthy.
It is you that needs to know that information.
I am system administrator and Ms. Cherie is as well. So either one of us can perform these functions.
I will probably get it done quicker than Jennifer. She's very busy.
So are you. So are you. District utility supervisor. I think everybody knows that is an important individual that has lots of rights and responsibilities in the system. Fiscal managers, project development branch managers. These roles are broken out, project development branch managers specifically so that they can have approval rights that are limited to those roles, such as invoicing, as electronic approvals in the system. So we had to break out these roles individually. Same thing with rail coordinator, right-of-way director, utility branch manager, KYTC utility user. So this is an individual working with the utility supervisor. We have a read-only role. So if you're KYTC and you want read access to districts 5, 6, and 7, you request from one of us or both of us to gain access and you can get to the system. Keep in mind that if you ask for only 5 and 6, that's the data you get. The system filters based on the district data. Utility. So if we have a utility company that enters the system, and I've got these other clicks, so it's not going to show me, but I can select, assign them certain company. And when they log into the system, they access only projects that have that company listed. So that's how the user access works. If you're internal to KYTC, there's no issue with just sending an email to Cherie or myself asking for read access. If you're internal to KYTC and you want to have approval authorities in terms of district utility supervisor, it's good to copy the first line supervisor in the email. So we've got validation, yes, this is okay. And if you're external to KYTC, be it a utility company or a consultant working at utility coordination for KYTC or performing design services for KYTC, you can gain access to the system by filling out our user agreement and a letter on company letterhead stipulating that these individuals have the authority to act on behalf of the company. Yes, sir.
I don't think, well, maybe Nikki's the one supposed to have the fan, but I think it's 10:35. I think, is it a 10:40 in? And you were going to talk about DocuSign?
Gotcha.
8:50. We're at 8:36.
Whatever time it is.
Well,
Something
yeah,
about 35. It's 8:35, not 10:35.
I could say dumb.
But I didn't want you to run out of time for you to talk about
Thank
DocuSign.
you. Keeping us straight. Any questions on the chat?
No.
All right. Any other questions about KURTS in the audience? In the in-person audience?
I would like to give a brief update before we get out of KURTS.
You may want to give her the mic.
While she's coming, have you had other states use the software yet?
No. And I think it would be extremely difficult for somebody to, I've had inquiries. We've done lots of demos. I think KURTS is being used as a model. I don't want to, keep going more. Kentucky did pretty good with this.
We wrote it into the NHI class that it's a model to be, or a system to be modeled by other states.
Thank you. I'm really proud of what Kentucky achieved with this. Internally built by KYTC, IT staff and contractors working for us, and oversaw by the staff of KYTC. So I think we did a great job. And a lot of states have asked for demos. A lot of states have asked actually for the background data. And we've inquired with IT, and this has been defined to me as bowl of spaghetti. KURTS has so many touch points with other systems that are unique to KYCC that unraveling it and reconnecting to their systems would prove quite difficult. So
NDOT said the same thing when we looked at it.
yeah, did they say the same thing when they looked?
Yeah, it's too hard to make it match up.
Yeah. It's the concepts behind it.
So we wrote a piece of crap.
So well, there's a lot of states out there that are trying to pursue something similar to this, and what they're looking at is out of the box solutions. And I think Kenny's alluding to the fact that out of the box solutions don't really quite hit all the marks that states are looking for. This is a very unique process, and it's also unique to individual states. So out of the box solutions really don't quite hit the mark. So, and we thought about that back in 2013 or 14 when we were building this thing. We looked at Tennessee, Michigan. We looked at a few other states that had solutions that weren't necessarily utility coordination for transportation projects, but may have been more related to permitting new facilities. And nothing really quite suited. So the solution for us as an organization was to build from scratch.
So we were talking about updates previously, and sometimes those updates, if I put a notice out on the site that we're going to be down a certain amount of time, sometimes those are glitch repairs, and they fixed them in the background, and then they're putting the fix back into. We had a recent glitch where some projects we couldn't archive. Just, some little glitch in the background that we don't have no control over. So I work with IT with those issues. Anytime you have an issue, feel free to shoot me an email or call me, and we'll get with IT and we'll get that tested and see what's going on. The biggest news we have is probably around November, we are doing a KURTS rewrite. IT has put together a team of people that I've been working with since I've been in this position. And I'm excited because they are the best of the best, in my opinion, with KURTS. And we will be working on ways to improve KURTS. They have a list of things that we want improved, especially speed. It's very slow. It's moving from one screen to the next. So that's going to be one of the many things. But they're doing a total rewrite. to improve what we have. And like Jennifer said, I always refer to KURTS as a UFO that is drawing like a magnet and pulling information from all these different resources. So hopefully with the rewrite, it will be able to pull that data quicker and be more proficient for everyone. And so I'm excited about that. And if you have any suggestions of tweaks we need to make in this rewrite, email them to me. We'll get them on the list if they're not already on the list. We have a pretty good size list of what we need to improve on.
Now's the time, right?
Now's the time if you want to chime in and how to improve it. But I really enjoy working with this IT group. They're just right there. If I have a problem or an issue, they're right there. Couldn't do it without them.
And KURTS is Cherie's baby, so.
Does the system have like a schedule of the utility coordination process? I see it's very heavy on the agreements and funding side, but what about the utility coordination activities? Like, is there a place where I would document that I have adequate levels of utility investigations? Is there, I know there's a conflict matrix in there, but is that an example or is it an active document that the design team can download and use?
All right,
Is there
no problem.
a schedule like I've completed conflict analysis or?
Let me show you a little bit about, and Cherie, could you do me one favor? Let's make sure that there's no questions on DocuSign.
It's been a few years since I've seen the KURTS demo, so.
Oh, no problem. Do we have any DocuSign questions before I do this? Because this will take a little bit of the rest of the time.
Not a lot.
Okay, if there are any questions from the virtual audience, please throw that in the chat box and we can address them. But I'm going to do a quick demo of the coordination aspects of the system. And they are pretty limited. We still rely a lot on meetings, discussions, emails, phone calls to work out the guts of conflict identification and mitigation. Systems built with this graph, and this one's not actually functioning. But ideally, what we're doing is we're updating our schedule here. And I'm just throwing some stuff on here so that we get a sense of it. What we've got down at the bottom are a list of activities. Change this to 2021. And what these do is adjust this to a schedule. There we go. So you'll see that we've got this color coding up here. These color codings line up with planning, initiation, coordination, agreements, approvals, construction, and closeout, which is our process in a nutshell. We'll do some iterations back and forth, but that's the general process of utility coordination. So the color coding lines up with that. So we've got planning, initiation, coordination, agreements, and construction and closeout. Closeout being purple, construction being green. So when you set a schedule here, it's going to show up as this color-coded event bar at the top. So that lines up roughly with the dates that I have here. These individual utility companies, as their data gets uploaded to the system, the intent is that these bars for their individual company's performance changes. So KURTS is looking for example, coordination. Charter Communications will change, this bar graph will change to orange on the date that they submit a coordination document. Coordination document being a plan, an estimate, engineering services, a contract proposal. Something that indicates that they are working on coordinating with us on the relocation work. So this bar graph is supposed to be a visual indicator of activities. So it shows us performance of the utility companies versus our overall plan for the project. So utility coordinators, note this is a tool in the toolbox for you to give you a visual cue as to whether or not your utility companies are performing up to the schedule that you have indicated for the project.
Are those steps broken out further?
There are, KURTS is looking for specific triggers to indicate whether or not that company's moved on to the next phase of the process. So for planning, KURTS is looking for funding requests.
What about the majority of utilities that are not going to be reimbursed?
I'm sorry,
So
they still have to submit relocation plans.
you said agreements and funding requests.
Funding request is the actual authorization of total funds for the project,
Yes,
not for each utility company relocation.
this planning.
So it's not going to
phase
track
is-
granular enough for me to use it as my,
No, it's not a critical path program.
so you answered my question. I know where it is now.
In terms of coordination, or Data's house, here's that conflict matrix that you referenced.
Yeah.
Spatial also uses the GIS collector app. So you can collect, log conflicts here in KURTS, or you can use that GIS collector and log those conflicts in the field and upload them to KURTS. We've got a legend showing the typical types of conflicts that we've identified in the conflict matrix for Kentucky. Pretty clear. Facility types, we're using the National Flood Code for colors. We also have photo overlays to help you log your conflicts. You get just that. Okay. Just real quickly, I'll show you what the new conflicts log looks like. So we've got different types of conflicts. This marries up with that legend. And for each type of conflict, we've got details as to what type of conflict we've identified. The utility companies that are logged for the project will show up here. And if you've got a co-utility that's in conflict, you can select that as well. Accuracy of utility location data. So this is referencing what we have in terms of utility data accuracy on the plans. So if we only are using existing records, use quality level D. You've got a description field for your conflict.
Can't get along with my ex-wife.
That's why it's an X, right?
What?
That's why it's an X.
Yeah.
So this conflict's going to now be logged for this particular project. Going to show up as a triangle for a typical conflict, blue for a water facility. And this system also has the capacity to download a report have attachments available for that conflict. And we also have the ability to document solutions to the problems. We can add attachments and resolutions. This is going to use that price database that KURTS owns. Utility centric, relocation, KYT centric, most often design adjustments. So if you're pricing out and cost benefiting a relocation, you'll have utility centric. It's going to default to City of Fulton because that's the water company. And you can price out the relocation. You'll see that it gets me at $20. It's going to that unit price database, it's giving me the 4 most recent unit prices that are in that database. Those are high level costs. You don't have to use that, you can use your own.
And those are the KURTS database, not the construction unit bid price database.
Absolutely. Totally KURTS. You can throw contingencies, engineering costs, state forces right away, document advantages, disadvantages, what this relocation would be, or relocate before construction, adjusting depth height, highway contractor relocates, working days to complete. No decision. You can select, reject. And once you've done this and documented the conflict resolution, it's going to show up here. And you can log other options that you've identified. So if we can redesign the transportation project to avoid, you can cost that out as well and present that to the decision makers so that they have resolutions fully documented in terms of time and cost. I appreciate all the questions today. Thank you all so much.
Wow.
If you have any more on KURTS, you know where to find me.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Cherie.
Do anything in that cancellation on DocuSign, if anybody? Yeah, if y'all want to come back at 10:50 for DocuSign, any questions on DocuSign, we can go over it then, because we had a cancellation.
Cancellation. There you go, sir.
Thank you all on the line.
Clarence, I'm not- Oh, yeah. And we extremely comfortable.
I've got.
Yeah.